Hey everybody, how y'all doing? We're back to work on the 305. Yeah, you haven't got to see anything on this up to this point because my oldest grandson, him, and my brother-in-law and Sheila, we all worked on that together, and he had a blast putting this bottom end together. We do got a couple of things changed on the main cap bolts because we need to get the bolts that look like this on there because need the windage. Got the windage tray, and that's an open oil pan underneath the windage tray. So anyway, the story on this is it's a 40/305. This is the guts out of the block that I got 3 or 4 years ago that a viewer found. He came out of a boat and they froze it. The sidewalls here on the block were blowed out, but they just totally junked the motor, left the heads, everything, cam, everything. I finally come across a good 305 block and got that worked out on the deal that I did, and the guy bored it to fit this rotating assembly. Crank was good. He polished that. I learned one thing with this: the remanufacturer of this motor originally, instead of resizing the rods like you normally do, take so much off the cap and then put it together, then take it back to standard size, they just clamped them together and went oversized. So I needed a oversized bearing for the rod, which I think was a 2000s, and then on the inside it needed to be a 10 under. That took a little doing to find them. And then in this is a 1999, January 1st 99 305. There's 2 different sets of rings in these, and we had to figure out which sets of rings went to this. I would have went ahead and reused the rings that was on there because the boat motor did not have very much time on it at all. Barely even had any carbon on the pistons and that. So anyway, we got the rotating assembly done, got the correct bearings, clearances checked out, everything's good. And now these heads that are sitting here are the heads that were on the frozen motor. I have crack checked them 4 or 5 different times. I can't find anything, so they were, quote, good. Well, after disassembling them and that and looking, I don't know who they had run the valve machine that day, but this manufacturer's known for doing pretty shady stuff. I've ran across their motors before, had interesting troubles with them. Okay, the heads are good. The heads are straight. They ain't broke. I did find out these got 355 valves in them, valve stems, instead of the normal, because I thought, well, I'll just take these valves and put them in the other set because I got another head over here, set of heads that are the same as these, and I thought, well, I'll just put them in there. As when I got looking, you're supposed to have, do I have a valve close that I can get to? You're supposed to have a narrow mating area on your valve and seat. These were the whole face of the valve seat. I don't know how this thing even ran remotely good. Well, I got those new cutters. I recut the seats, recut everything. And if you look down, these right here, you look down those, they're all pretty much still the same height. So I didn't have to do much, but the one had the 1-cylinder exhaust. I thought, it's going to need a new seat. By the time I said I was done, by the time I was all said and done, it didn't. I saved it with those cutters. Those cutters are life-saving. So now I got the 16th or so inch margin on the valve where they're meeting and sealing and that. So I was happy with that. And but we also have been waiting for these here. I thought I had a set here, the 305s. Yeah, let's see. and this is the part number I'm using right there. The reason I'm using these is this area right here is thicker. When I talk about thicker, this is what I mean. I have done it in the past just to get a motor going. Some guys are going like, oh, we'll just use the 350 head gaskets. Yeah, just use the 350 head gaskets. Well, set this head gasket over. Well, you can see it's narrower and bigger, which ineffectively will lower your compression. So we got the head gaskets, and then to bring you up to speed on the valve, the camshaft, the cam that was in this looked brand new. I found out these roller cams are made out of steel. You got to protect them. The shop has been dry. I laid around in here. I kept it with all its parts. And then I had that one and something else. Whatever side was up got a light surface of rust on them. Well, I threw them in the hot, my evaporust trying to clean them. Still didn't all come off. So I sent the cam off to make sure it was usable or anything decent. Well, the cam that was put in the boat motor when they built the boat was an LT1 cam. So it was a decent cam. The way my cam grinder explained it to me, if he said this was Mad Max times and it was the only cam, I'd run it. But he says if you're going to put this in and sell it, potentially, I'd regrind it. So we talked. I knew that was going to happen, so I'll be right back. Okay, we'll see if I can pick up where it was. So anyway, I know we were talking about the camshaft. Well, I got that surface on it. He said regrind it. So he reground it. He says it's going to be a fun cam now. He made it a little bit bigger than what it was. He says it's going to be borderline being able to be used with a stock stall torque converter. That's a tongue twister. That's why I kind of had to say it like that. And he said if you put it in front of a manual tranny, it's going to be a fun little 305. So we had the cam reground. Looks brand new. Got the lifters. Oh, heck, I got everything laid out here. I got the push rods, the self-align, and this style motor takes what they call the self-aligners, because the head holes, let's see, they're just round. They're not a slotted one like in the older heads here. So the push rod has room to waddle around. So that's why you got to use these self-liners on those heads, or you're going to have to put a guide plate on, replace the studs and guide plate it, so you can use just any old rocker arm. So anyway, so the valve job's been done to these. Oh, and that was the other thing. As soon as I checked them up in the valve facer, every single valve except for two were out of round. They were bad. Like I said, I don't know how this, I know the manufacturer. I'm not going to say the manufacturer. I've dealt with their engines before. They're just, yeah. And that's where some guys are like, oh, I can get this motor for $2,500 or so. Well, what are you getting for $2,500? You're getting something slapped together versus, but anyway, I guess before I forget and put this head on, and that's happened once, you learn by your mistakes. So, like we're working on the LS, yes, I'll give you a little sneak peek of what's coming there. Yeah, we got a header and got a carburetor. Hey, was that a carburetor sitting on that? Yes, it is. So that's upcoming. Anyway, with that, I was talking to somebody and thinking old school here, you can put the head on, you can put the lifters in. Well, no, you can't. So I learned my mistake that time. It cost me a head gasket instead of head bolts too, because just got done torquing them down, and I'm like blankety blank blank blank, and because the lifters were sitting over here, you know, like the thing showing, hey, the torque transmission went in so easy, I can't believe how easy it went in. And they look over in the bench, there lays the torque converter. yeah, that's kind of what this is. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to put this plug in before I forget it. And then when I get the top end done on this, we got to roll it over, pull the rear main cap off, and then right straight down here from the oil pressure gauge is the plug that goes above the main cap. Got to put that one in, and that. So, but we're going to get these heads on. I've got the bolts all accounted for. I got my thread sealer because they go into the water passages. I've got my retaining plate. Like I said, I got everything found. Got the dog bones, the spider, everything's here. So the only thing that isn't here yet is the valve covers that we picked out that's going to go on this. So, and yes, this little 305 will be for sale. The intake here is not going to be the one that's going to go on it. It'll be a long block minus the intake. It's a Vortec style intake. That is our test run stand motor intake. So yes, so I guess with that I'll get the head gasket on here, get the headset back on, and start thread sealing the bolts and get the heads bolted on this thing. And then I guess we'll pull the cam out and we'll talk about the cam. I'll show you the camshaft, get that slid in here, get the retainer plate on, and time and chain of gear on, and this thing's going to start wrapping up pretty fast. So and then we'll get this ready to run. And it's going to be for sale, guys. Nice running little 305. So yeah, I know 305s. 305's got a bad rap. They got bad cams in them, just like the 307s. But little 305s, they can be fun. I just think about it, everybody's like, oh, 305, they ain't got no power. Just think of the 305 Spritz. Yes, they got bigger pop-up pistons and all that, but they basically are limited to these motors right here. So now with that, I'll get the head gasket out, get the head on, and we'll get back at it. Just so you can see, it's been installed, and I put red Loctite on it and cranked it down as tight as you can. So that's sealed. So, and I got looking at this gasket, it's not marked up or down anything. So we're going to set it on here. Whoa, stay there. First time I set it on there, it stayed just fine. Okay. Now see the difference here, how that fills that in, how that's going to keep the compression up on this 305. So, again, here I'll show you. There's the 305. Here's what the 350 would look like. Gasket. A lot bigger ring, a lot of compression loss. So definitely want to make sure you use the correct gaskets. Anyway, time to set the head on and start thread sealing bolts and putting them down. There you go, the heads are all torqued on. That went smooth. I did it in 3 steps instead of just going 65 straight out. I worked it up to 65. And then here, it's been a long time since I ran into this. See this container of all those different little things? I'm glad I saved those, because the original block that the rotating assembly was in had these, the 2 bigger ones and the small one in the middle. Well, this is a different block. I don't know what year that other one was, can't look at it. But then I got looking, I'm like, oh no. So I got out my milling kit here, which is pretty much standard, usually fits everything. Those are 1/2-inch plugs. I thankfully, up here in the front compartment, had the small ones to put in there. Normally I convert those to screw-in plugs, but a little late in the process now. The 2 here you can drive in to the stop. This does have a stop in there, but you don't want to drive it in too far, otherwise you block the oil pressure coming down to the cam bearing, and that creates a big mess. So yeah, anyway, luckily I had these Otherwise I would be stuck right here. So now that the head's on, the cylinder should be at top dead center number 1. I can dig the camshaft out and we'll get her cleaned up and get the camshaft slid in there. And then we got, like I said, the retainer plate here that goes with that, because this is a roller cam, which means this has got a different gear for you guys. There's a smaller bolt pattern than normal. See, I do have a double roller over there, but I'm just going to see how this chain fits, because like I said, it was tight when I took it out of the other motor. And like I said, this is all new stuff, so I guess let me get the camshaft out and spray it down and get the grinding oil off and we'll slide it in. Give these guys a shout out. That's who reground my camshaft. Kirk and Tim down there are really good guys. Kirk did this one. But there you guys go. She's got 447 lift. So 105 lobe separation. That's the only thing you couldn't really change. Which yeah, but there she is. She looks like a brand new one. Well, it is. It was brand new to begin with, but unfortunately it got a little surface rust on it that wouldn't clean up. So I'm going to get it ready and slide that in and see how everything fits. Okay, time marks lined up. Chains about as good as it's going to get. Time mark there. Time mark there. I think if you drop the distributor in now, you'd be 180 out, but it's close enough. Those were torqued to 18 foot-pounds. The little cam retainer plate bolts, so was 9 foot-pounds. That's all been oiled up behind there and that, so getting ready to put the cover on. After I got that on, then I realized I wanted to do something. There's a tool over there in that white box here I was going to use and demonstrate. But I'll do that on the next motor. On the next, got that one there, so we'll do that one on that. But there you go. The valve train is all in. The rocker arms on. Valves are set. I didn't show that setting the valves because everybody's got their own way of setting valves, and the way I do mine kind of makes people like, ah. So you got your ways of setting your valves, you set them your way. So now I gotta find the intake bolts, because this is a vortex style head, so it need the 8 bolts. Yeah, find those, and then some silicone. Put my bead along the china wall here, and under that gasket and under there, and clamp it down, and then we'll be ready to turn it over and do the bolt change for the windage tray. Yep, we want to do a little cleaning on those. And this is the windage tray I'm talking about. Put that in. So we're getting there. And once this is all sealed up, and then I also got to take the rear main cap off and put the plug up underneath there, so otherwise without that you will not have oil pressure. So I guess hope you guys are enjoying this build of the 305. Yeah, I know you guys didn't get to see the short block going together, but kind of thought the grandson was going to help finish this, but it's getting to the point where Grandpa's got to get this stuff done, because like I said, there's the next project, and that means a new engine stand is going to be built to only for the LS's, because that's going to require a lot more electrical stuff and grounds and fuse stuff and that than what running this old school stuff is. So, and I guess so. We're trying to get back at it, dealing with health issues here. Long story short, I need my left knee replaced, but good news is I got yesterday, I am now under the 500 mark. I finally broke the 500 barrier, so I've lost, according to the doctor, he says the last recorded message one he had, he says I'm down 60 some pounds. I say I'm closer down to 80 pounds, so I'm doing it right. My A1C's down to 6.6. It's never been that low. Everything's going the right direction. I told them, I said, guys, I've changed the way I've eaten and what I do, so I guess just keep going and hopefully I'll get back to where I can be bouncing around this shop a lot better. So anyway, stay tuned. We'll get this motor finished, and then on the run stand, get it run, broke in, and see if we can find a home for it. So, all right, everybody, take care. Thanks for watching.